Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Neon Arcade. Let's get right into today's video, where we'll be going over all of the screenshots and some of the concept art released so far for Cyberpunk 2077. We're going to take an in-depth look at all of them to see what kind of clues or assessments we can make about the game and try to give us a better idea on 2077 since we know so little about it. The first picture that we're going to look at is one of my personal favorites out of the group, just because you know deep down that the big dude is about to get up and whoop some ass for having his lunch disturbed by these two goons. Now the first thing I noticed about this screenshot was the heavy jacket the man in the middle has. It's heavily padded, but it almost looks like it has some dangerous elements to it that isn't obvious from a first look. There's a caution logo on the side panel of the jacket right under the collar, which may indicate it has an unknown ability attached or that the wearer itself is not someone to mess with. We already know that in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, clothing options give us a variety of different stats, and this particular jacket looks like it can be an epic or legendary tiered item. The man also has a bullet necklace, which could function very similar. This picture also shows us how customizable our characters can be in-game. The cyborg on the right has a metallic-y gold arm with an American flannel shirt, whilst the man in the hood on the left has a camo vest with a hoodie and hat on. There's a lot of diversity in this image when it comes to clothing choices, and I hope there's a ton of choice when it comes to this. I hope we can make our characters as ugly or beautiful as we want. The character on the right has a receding hairline and seems to be missing teeth, and I hope the character customization reflects a vast array of different choices we can make in this regard. This scene is also happening in broad daylight, and no one in the background seems to really care or be paying attention, which may be a testament to how violent or unaware Night City is. The interconnected building structures in the back and the wires hanging from outposts may give an opportunity for CD Projekt Red to incorporate some sort of parkour mechanic in the game that allows us to jump or scale buildings. Like the daredevils we see on social media walking along the edges of skyscrapers and cranes with terrifying heights, this would be an awesome feature. The man on the left seems to have a considerable scar on his arm, which may indicate that he's gone through under the hood augmentations that he either doesn't want to be seen or that has been removed for unknown reasons. The Blade Runner Cyberpunk cliche ramen noodles in the market meal imagery is on full display here, and we can expect to see more themes like this expressed throughout the world. The next picture we have is this woman looking at herself and prepping her mascara, whilst half of her face from the nose down is sitting on a stand on the side. It seems like mirrors are a thing of the past, and this holographic screen is a ready replacement. I get the vibe that she might be a stripper or prostitute based on what she's wearing and the fact that she's applying makeup so carefully. She may also be a female mercenary who uses the power of seduction or is just simply putting herself together. Taking a closer look at the screen, we see there's a user profile at the top, color selection, and what looks like a lock and save function on the right hand side. There are also store prompts on the bottom left of the screen, with one saying drugstore with a barcode and the other saying enter. Maybe this screen is a holographic vendor / mirror / TV hybrid, but it's hard to tell at this stage. There's also what seems to be a smartphone under the screen, which may point to the fact we carry something similar around and we get side quests or things of that sort on the go via text message or phone call. The next big chunk of this picture are the pinned up articles in the back, and this gives us our first look at the Night City Journal, which we repeatedly see throughout the screenshots. This gives me the impression that it's the largest or possibly only publication in town. If megacorps really do run the city, running the media and the paper would be important, which is maybe another reason we haven't seen too much diversity when it comes to newspapers. Some of the headlines in the paper is Terror at Teen Concert with the mugshot of an unnamed individual and Lizzie Wizzy in award show scandal. Celebrities seem to be a thing in Night City, and we already know violence is a daily occurrence, so there's really no surprise there. There's another article that is half off screen, which mentions something about a foray in Pacifica. We don't know if these articles are recent or old, or maybe they are pinned in this woman's room because she's trying to piece together details about an event or occurrence. She may be looking for revenge if she was personally impacted by it. This could also be Lizzie Wizzy getting ready for a show or something of that sort, but it's hard to tell if the image in the background looks similar to the person putting her makeup on, especially because half of her face isn't on. The third screenshot we have is of a woman standing with a cigarette with a soldier in the background as a dropship presumably drops off more soldiers or military personnel. There is Militech writing on the vehicle and the dropship, which is one of the larger mega corporations in Night City, bordering on being a branch of the military. The dropship shows that there are a variety of flying vehicles, but this seems to carry more people and aesthetically looks different than what we've seen before. Militech outfits are pretty plain looking, and if these outfits are lootable, I doubt they would give you any stats for your cool level, but it may be good for increasing your intelligence or constitution levels. The dropship also has the number 551 on the side, which may refer to a heavy presence of these dropships in the area for patrols or corrupt activities. The soldier in the back has a red mohawk, a large assault rifle, and a tattoo which appears to be a skull, but doesn't look overly augmented like some of the other characters we've seen. He is also wearing the same plain attire. The Militech cruiser looks like it might be heavily armored, which might mean it carries influential people in it. It also seems like vaping isn't a trend that caught on in the future, as the lady in the front looking with the scowl is still puffing on traditional cigarettes. Next up, we have a frantic scene taking place in an oriental convenience store. Somehow, the two goons pictured on the left got behind the counter in a robbery attempt, and the store worker, which is presumably the Asian woman on the right, managed to get away long enough to get a weapon to fend them off. We see she's dispatched of one of the robbers in the background, with the other one begging for mercy. The Mad Max-esque characters on the left look heavily augmented, with the dead one on the floor having some sort of nodes protruding from his head. Initially, I thought it might have been his hair, and it still might be purely aesthetic, but they also look like they could be functional. If this guy was crazy enough, he could use his head like a battering ram, and those spikes could inflict some crazy damage. Judging by the looks of these guys, they look pretty tweaked out on augmentations or even drugs, so I wouldn't put it past them. The man with the goggles, gas mask, and black mohawk also has what seems to be mantis blades on his right forearm, as well as a knife holstered around the belt he has slung around his shoulder. The weapon the Asian woman is using seems to be energy based and has coils or grills on the sides that flare out to cool it down. During a Reddit AMA regarding the E3 gameplay demo, I asked if this was the same blunderbuss charged shotgun that goes through walls, but it seems it isn't. That weapon is seen in the E3 trailer, however, in the hillbilly scene. Around the booth, we see a dragon figurine and Maneki Neko cats, which are used for good fortune. Again, we see the Night City Journal with different headlines. One headline says another Valentino foray in Pacifica, which may be the same headline from the pinned up paper in the makeup picture. Pacifica is the most violent district in Night City, and Valentino seems to be making a name for himself as a prolific terrorist. The next paper headline we see is On a Roll, with someone who looks like he's wearing Bane's jacket and stole Cyclops' visor. He may potentially be an anti-villain, but he could just as easily be just another villain. Again, we see a similar mugshot to what was seen on the Lizzy Wizzy Night City Journal, so it might be Valentino or another criminal. There's also another paper which has pie graph charts and a man who looks like he might be involved in politics. Maybe these are polls or something of that nature that might hint at a political turmoil or unrest. The last thing I want to mention on the screenshot is the advertisement for Nikola that says Feel the Chemistry. This looks like a VR experience type product, but it also refers to taste on the side panel. Maybe it's a form of brain dance augmentations, which are essentially the pinnacle of hallucinatory drugs in Cyberpunk 2077. Next, we have arguably the most iconic screenshot from the game so far. Here we have Male V in front of his VTEC Aurora sports car smoking an old-fashioned cigarette in front of a panoramic view of Night City during the day. Again, it doesn't seem like vaping has taken off quite as much in the future, so sorry Vape Nation. We see a lot of neon signs in the distance on the buildings. Bliss and Limit look like they could potentially be strip clubs, and Greece looks like it might even be a male strip club. We get a sense of the verticality of the city, and if we can traverse all of the floors of these buildings, it might be the most expansive vertical game we've ever seen. Megacorp buildings in the distance like Surtsis and Arasaka seem to have the previously mentioned fortress rooms at the top that the Megacorp higher-ups probably live or spend most of their time in. Orbital air is also a sign on the Megacorp structures and might mean we get to fly to other destinations. The city overall seems like a blend of Tokyo, California, and Times Square. V is in the foreground and seems to be in a grungy area of town where there is graffiti and poorly maintained roads. We see a clear image of his samurai jacket, which may be an associated group of mercenaries or just the brand of the jacket. We do have confirmation that Katanas will be in the game, which is very exciting, and maybe there's a link between the jacket scene here and wielding katanas and swords. We also know that you can parry with swords in Cyberpunk, so swordplay might feel like The Witcher 3 in first person. The next image is one that wasn't released immediately after the E3 trailer and is correlated to the gameplay demo some journalists got to see. I've made a video about this gameplay demo and I'll keep it in the description if you guys want to check it out. This is a picture of Jackie Wells, who is your partner in the gameplay demo mission. He is also the guy sitting on the bench in the intro trailer. His jacket has a signature 4 divots on the shoulders like V's samurai jacket and might be correlated to the rank or status of the jacket. It seems these jackets are exclusive to mercenaries as no one else in the trailer or screenshots seem to have them. He's wearing a cross on his necklace and cross earrings, which might mean he's a religious type. Is religion big in the dystopic future of Night City? Is he one of the few left to believe in God or religion? Jackie appears to be in an apartment or house, and there's a frying pan on the left hand side which indicates he's in the dining room or kitchen area. He has a similar tattoo to the one on the chest of the Cyclops looking guy in the Bane jacket in a previous screenshot, and also has the words Valentinos on his shirt, which may indicate an affiliation with Valentino from Pacifica. Jackie is dual wielding pistols, which may confirm dual wielding in general. His temple LED is red, which might mean inactive or not ready for combat, although the fact that he has pistols in his hands kinda says otherwise. Do LEDs change color to signify different abilities active, or again, are they just for show? The next screenshot is my favorite screenshot in the whole group of them. This is a screenshot of a combat cab, which is denoted by the text on the side panel of the window. This was a part of the tabletop Cyberpunk 2020 game, and combat cabs were forms of transportation through combat zones, which were the deadlier parts of cities and districts. Combat cabs were equipped with battle drivers, and their slogan from the tabletop game was, "Leave the combat to us." This squad of 3 android-esque suited up figures look like they want to take matters more into their own hands. They remind me of a mix between the Blue Man Group, Agent Smith clones from the Matrix, and Morpheus, who is also from the Matrix movies. They seem to portray the silent assassin stereotype, and the cabbie seems blissfully unaware that he's annoying them or talking too much. We see his rating is 1 out of 5 stars, which probably means he's not a very focused battle driver and is more concerned with making conversation. There's a sign that says to keep your weapons on safety, so they presumably won't fire in the car, and each assassin carries a unique weapon, with the closest one resembling a futuristic Vector SMG. There's also a weapon on the bottom left that reminds me of the rifle V locks and loads in the intro trailer. Next up, we have V's VTech Aurora racing down the streets of Night City whilst the van ahead opens fire. The bullets from the van don't appear to be curving, so we can rule out the people in the van using target-seeking smart weapons. The bullets do, however, leave a colorful bullet trail, maybe indicating that they're energy-based. On the side streets, we see Fiesta Food Beans vending machines, a noodle restaurant, and a homeless man with a shopping cart walking down the sidewalk. There are clothes drying up on the rafters, but it's unclear if it's due to people living on the second floor of these buildings, or merely the homeless being crafty and drying their clothes. We see a crushed can on the bottom right corner, which appears to be an energy drink, but may be a booster. There is a sign that says pod, which could refer to it being something similar to a sensory deprivation tank or a virtual reality experience. It might also be a healing station or is an area that gives you a temporary boost. Another possibility is that it's just a side minigame and you can go in there if you choose to. The 24-hour sign is a good indication that the city never sleeps, as we see this pretty frequently in the town-based screenshots, and again, the cracked up roads and potholes increase the feeling of this being a living, breathing world. There is a car advert on top of the buildings, which may give us hints at upgrade paths to our own cars, similar to those that we have with our apartment buildings and residences. The next screenshot is another one of my favorites. Again, this is from the section in the gameplay demo, as well as the trailer where the Maelstrom gang has gathered around this stolen Militech Spiderbot. The Maelstrom gang robs others to satisfy their own addictions to augmentations. Augmentations seem to create forms of hyper-addicted cyber psychos, and I will go into this in more depth in future videos. The Spiderbot is fairly small in comparison to the likes of the Spider Tank from the Cyberpunk anime Ghost in the Shell, but it does seem to have some power behind it. Despite its size, we can see the glass from the table underneath the Spiderbot starting to crack under the pressure. Maybe this is due to the bot being heavier than it looks, or just the force it exerts being so strong. It is from Militech, which means it's most likely a weapon, or at the very least a scouting unit. There is cash on the table, potentially because there's a business deal going on, or it may be a part of the robbery that included the bot. The man in the leather jacket looks like the Cyclops version of Batista, which only makes me believe that we might have more potential cameos and Easter eggs throughout the game. Again, we see the LED lights on the temples, green indicating active, and red meaning either death, sleep, or in Jackie Wells' case and previous screenshots, relaxed or at ease. The next screenshot is our first introduction to the female version of V, as she's hiding in an alley from a flying vehicle. The vehicle could be gang or megacorp related, but the siren and color of it makes me believe it's a police cruiser. In this scene, V has a long-barreled pistol, with a similar if not the same jacket as her male counterpart in many of the other screenshots and E3 trailer. This might point to each article of clothing being unisex so that we aren't missing out on potentially cool looking items and clothes if we decide to pick a female character. Her jacket has the same interesting LED strips with the raised collar, which might act as a protection from shots coming from the back. In the Netflix series Altered Carbon, the human mind is actually terminated via a shot to the back of the brainstem where a mind chip sits, so it might be similar in that sense in Cyberpunk 2077. We see a scar under V's eye, a nod to the deep personalization options we may have, and the back alley looks very lived in, hinting that there might be a heavier homeless presence in that area. The bike in the back alley may or may not be V's, but stylistically it's very similar to the bikes in the 1988 movie Akira. Neon signs in the back say Mattel, Adult Entertainment, and some sort of shack where upgrades or standard electronics might be sold. The next screenshot is pretty straightforward and is a 3-man trauma team squad in the hallways of an apartment complex. These trauma teams are essentially first responders to the rich and famous in Night City and have arrived on the scene via dropship. Their helmets seem to have a gas mask type of device, maybe for chemical outbreaks or acid rain created from the extreme amount of pollutants such a city might create. There are retractable lights attached to the helmet used by the 2 responders in the background. The vector type SMG being held by the soldier closest to us looks very similar to those being held by the assassins in the combat cab, and the pistols used by the other 2 might be burst style. The logo of the trauma unit is similar to modern day hospital logos, and the white coloration of their armor clearly indicate who they are in relation to the palette of the rest of the world. The next one appears to be Royce from the gameplay demo, the leader of the Maelstrom. He is the mini-boss at the end of the gameplay demo that you fight inside the exoskeleton. He seems to be upgrading or working on the Spiderbot and utilizing his own augmentations to get a better look. He has tattoos, but the one that's more visible doesn't resemble any of the other tattoos we've seen. We see a couple of V markings on the Spiderbot on the legs and under the legs, but we can't say what that stands for. This takes place in an underground bunker of some sort with screens of code or data being streamed in the back, possibly related to the people on the chairs. The people in the chairs look to be either sedated or chained to the chair, possibly because they've undergone experiments or augmentations against their will. Royce has some sort of headlamp augmentation for working on the robot, as well as a throat augment of some sort that is reminiscent of a beer tap. The next screenshot takes place in a market or bazaar, and there's an Asian guy inspecting a record whilst people walk around behind him. This is the first screen capture that actually looks like it's fairly calm, and there's not a ton of action going around. One man in the back looks like he's holding a coffee cup, and the woman with the checkered shirt is ordering food from a kiosk in the bazaar. The Asian man has a scar on his eye, a mohawk, which seems to be a popular haircut in Night City, and a neat tiger stripe jacket. The tiger stripe jacket might mean he's affiliated with a gang, or that it's a higher tiered item. It also has military rank stitched into the sleeves, which again might be a clan or gang ranking. It could just as easily have been a design element though. Now this guy has 4 LEDs on his face, which might be due to him having more augments and being more cybernetic than the average person. There is a sign in the back that says gear up, but we can't see the rest. Presumably, this is an advertisement for new gear or equipment within the world, and it has also been confirmed that interacting with ads will create waypoints to finding the items in-game. The man closest to us behind the counter seems to be selling either urns, boosters, or both. There are blue plus signs on the white bottles, which may be healing boosters or canisters. The black canisters say Optisphere on them, which could be an eyesight modification. The man himself has either a visored hat on or an implant on his face to help him see similar to glasses or something of that nature. Next, we have an interestingly more human character in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. This is Dr. Victor from the gameplay demo, who is a Ripper Doctor. He has a stethoscope around his neck and seems to be more on the intellectual side. He's also wearing what looks like scrubs and has some interesting details on his arms. There are 3 pinholes in his arms for unknown reasons and a dice tattoo on his arm, maybe alluding to the fact that he's an illegal Ripper Doctor and using him as a gamble of sorts. His teched out arm helps him in his surgical procedures, which require more precision. Dr. Victor seems to be fixated on a screen, maybe relating to a procedure or augmentation. He has a necklace with a boxing glove, which again could be a lootable stat booster item, and might imply he's either a fan of boxing or partakes himself. The gear on his arm says Arasaka, which is a mega corporation in the world of Cyberpunk, and it can be seen previously in the skyline shot with V. Our last picture is a trauma team resuscitating a man with an interesting medical device, whilst others watch over him. The medkit on the left hand side seems to contain canisters and bandages, but more items aren't seen. Off to the side we see female legs augmented by LED or light strips, which are really unique. Again, there is concept art of this screenshot that is pretty awesome and highlights the female legs. In the background we can see a man using headphones, which might indicate music is alive and well as a traditional form of escapism in Night City. The background also highlights and gives us an idea of the scale and scope of the verticality in this game. This is something the developers have continuously touched on. So that's my analysis of the screenshots we've seen so far. Let me know your thoughts and if you caught something that I missed, and like and subscribe for more Cyberpunk 2077.